Part 114. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziwei. Chapter 1141. Chapter 1141 Terrifying Discovery. Wei Suo knows that the battle between spirit race and desertate race was 6 or 70 years ago. At the time, many of the great treasures of the general cultivation world were involved, while the spirit race side was in heaven shaking. Before the war, secret places were at a disadvantage, and even the real great treasure emperor level characters were hit hard. It is precisely because the original secret place was at a disadvantage that it was the complete battle of Baibei, but the final result of this battle turned out to be that this beautiful woman is still unknown. Just know that when she self-sealed, spirit the race side is still a secret place at a very great treasure. Although the last beautiful woman's last origin chi and divine ability have been limited, there is no shapeshift great art to make Wei Suo feel more information. Even her name and identity are not left, but from the very beautiful woman let him perceive among the many fragmented pieces he has, he can be sure that this beautiful woman is more than just the ordinary true immortal. Because of the battle group she is in, the desolate race she faces is basically an 8-armed desolate race. And some of the cultivators on the desolate race side are also annihilating a void. It is not the character of the true immortal second layer. It is far from the 4-armed desolate race great treasure. Even so, this very beautiful woman is still a strong group in the battle group she is in, very prominent. There is a fragmented fragment, and he even sees this very beautiful woman seemingly lit up thousands of miles of wilderness. From the sky to the ground all rushed out of the radiant green fairy light. 3 hits will be 3. The 8-armed desolate race great treasure can be made into fly ash. However, such a person has not been able to know the final result of this war. Great treasure S 4-armed desolate race, the infamous 4-armed desolate race body possession, the secret place great treasure, a smashing giant smashing arm in the air. Is there a lot of people who have survived in the desertate race, and the spirit race is finally defeated and has been killed? You can only take a step and look at it. If you can get Steel Teeth younger sister out, you probably know who she is. Wei Suo's face and a hint of a wry smile. This very beautiful woman seems to perceive his heart deep secret place of all, but he is even this very beautiful woman name do not know. This is like a once and you are together, can attentively intercourse flow of the partner fell, but you are not even her name is not known. This feeling let him feel the heart cannot say the empty, and this very beautiful woman has also perceived him and Ling Longtian and other people now secret place, and left a little message in his mind, but the message is just to tell him that Ling Longtian did not say nonsense. In these dozens of days, Ling Longtian indeed can protect their safety, which makes him a bit relieved. But at the same time this very beautiful woman in his mind a little message, also clearly told him that in his present conditions, to break the great heaven's nature bottle, and only through the heavenly tribulation a path. In other words, his expectations are not wrong. It is true that heavenly tribulation can break the great heaven's nature bottle, but currently it is the only one that runs shapeshift great art. If you can't save Steel Teeth younger sister, it's not only that I can't pass the heavenly tribulation, but it also means that even your name is impossible to know. Wei Suo said in her heart that this beautiful woman not only let him see her heart, but also seemed to let him completely see his own heart. This period of time, endless pursuit and being chased, and those great treasure forces and great treasure can be enemies, making him invisibly facing everyone as well as wearing a mask, even invisible with a lot illness and very ruthless. If not a beautiful woman, he may not be consciously affected by the great treasure in the future. This very beautiful woman has an extraordinary meaning for him. Is she a great treasure banter? Wei Suo touched the very beautiful woman left in his mind of the 3 ancient scripture. He is very clear that this very beautiful woman in cannot leave more things. The left of these 3 things must be very important, and he did not how much time can be wasted, but now just in the mind to see these 3 pieces of ancient scripture in the first ancient scripture, Wei Suo's body and a slight shock, great naked Ada surprised. This ancient scripture is called True Spirit Hex Scripture, and all of them are all kinds of great treasure band shapeshift great art. And in this ancient scripture, there are many annotations left by this very beautiful woman. Can have such an ancient scripture, and left this multi-note. There is only one possibility, this very beautiful woman, except in addition to its own cultivation base, she is also a great treasure for the spirit race. No wonder a lot of fragmented pictures, this very beautiful woman cited many of the origin chi power seems completely different pang great treasure powerful energy. It turns out that she is not only the movement of the shapeshift great art, but also a lot of great treasure forbidden. At the time of desolate race and spirit race, many great treasures were banned, all of which were arranged by this very beautiful woman. If it is between the ordinary great treasure, the one-on-one enemy may not be a big deal, but in the great treasure battle of this scale, the role of a great treasure banter is no less than a great treasure at the time. Emperor-level character. She left this ancient scripture with various shapeshift great art arrays and great treasures for me, so that I can arrange some restrictions against heavenly tribulation, and then I can increase the success rate of passing heavenly tribulation. At this moment, Wei Suo directly understood the intention of this very beautiful woman. The usual shapeshift great art array and restrictions, there is no shapeshift great art to withstand the heavenly tribulation, because heavenly tribulation comes, origin chi is too volatile, many shapeshift great art array and restrictions directly will be ineffective, such as yellow quartz X such as the accumulation of tens of thousands of years of mountain, restrictions, although many, but can to effectively resist heavenly tribulation restrictions, I am afraid there are not a few. But among the true spirit hex scripture left by this beautiful woman, there are a lot of restrictions that can be used to resist heavenly tribulation. Wei Suo came to this myriad immortals mountain. It was because of the catastrophe and breaking the great heavens nature bottle. I don't know if it's a spirit race great treasure. Now, this very beautiful woman has passed away. But it did give Wei Suo a great treasure. As long as it can be arranged, a great treasure ban, it is equivalent to a number of shapeshift great art and shapeshift great art great treasure that can be used to resist heavenly tribulation. Ding tripod quartet of clouds ban, and Wei Suo from this very beautiful woman left restrictions among, also see the two doors she deliberately explained the restrictions, can be used to stabilize one side of the world origin chi, make some the restrictions and shapeshift great art array, which had no shapeshift great art in heavenly tribulation, could also be in heavenly tribulation hold the restrictions for a certain time. This is the shapeshift great art. Against the impact of divine consciousness, Wei Suo took a deep breath, continue to see the next ancient scripture, and his mind is more shock, almost exclaimed surging sound. The second ancient scripture, named Motionless Bright Heart, left by this beautiful woman, turned out to be a shapeshift great art designed to withstand the divine consciousness. Wei Suo's Tathagata divine glow is already divine consciousness killing great art, top shapeshift great art, and calm mind heart sword also has enhanced divine consciousness place secret great art, but shapeshift Wei's body, but is not able to resist each other Suo ne consciousness killing strong shapeshift great art, and this kind of consciousness, the spiritual level of surgery shapeshift great art, is extremely rare, can resist divine consciousness the operation killing e-shift great art. All even exist in the record, now cultivation world, most just by virtue of their own cultivation base and divine consciousness strong great treasure back pressure, have not heard which sect has such strong shapeshift great art. This beautiful female is obviously already aware that Tathagata divine glow also falls in the hands of the four-armed desolate race great treasure, so it was only for a limited time that Wei Suo left such a surgery shapeshift great art. These are all for the current lust situation of Wei Suo, which is unparalleled to great treasure for Wei Suo. Heaven mending scripture? Is there a problem with my water emperor son swallowing secrets? The first two ancient scriptures are so important, Wei Suo naturally eagerly looks at the third ancient scripture, and when I look at the third ancient scripture, Wei Suo is even more surprised by great treasure, his face has changed. This third article ancient scripture named heaven mending scripture, a look at this scripture name, Wei Suo immediately thought of green-robed old man heaven-mending pellet, but this ancient scripture and heaven-mending pellet did not have any relationship, and since beautiful woman left in which the annotation is led him aghast, Xian beautiful woman to say that the water emperor's son swallowing secrets, which he repaired, was also desolate race's supreme strong shape-shift great art. Comparable to any emperor's sutra, but I am afraid this water emperor's son swallowing secrets is not exactly the same desolate race water son emperor swallowing as the secrets ancestor of the year. Wei Suo's water emperor's son swallowing secrets at the time of cultivation, seems to be in the preparation of extremely eccentric restrictions force. Don't you say that the desolate race great treasure of the water emperor's son swallowing secrets can be used? Isn't it a good idea to play it, like the divine mystic great treasure by the body possession, and the broken arms that fly in the air? Is it a trap? Very beautiful woman. Although at the last minute, no shapeshift great art left more, the annotations are very simple, but Wei Suo is very clear to feel what she wants to express. At the same time of cultural, I was unknowingly giving myself restrictions. At that time, I encountered the desolate race great treasure that passed down the shapeshift great art. It was not a face-to-face, and it was impossible to even fight back. There will be a hold. At that time, the divine mystic great treasure by the body possession could be remembered. The divine mystic great treasure could even be far above the fire domain God King, but facing the four-armed desolate race. Great treasure can't even have a chance to struggle. If you encounter the desolate race great treasure that passed the water emperor's son swallowing secrets, wouldn't it be done in one face? And whether or not this desolate race great treasure can only be used for some of the powerful minions or to prepare for the reincarnation of their body possession, it is too terrifying for the Wei Suo of the water emperor's son swallowing secrets. And from the lust situation of Zantai Linglan and others, they are completely unaware of it, just like before, in the dark. This heaven-mending scripture of the beautiful woman is used to resolve this eccentric restrictions in the Wei Suo water emperor's son swallowing secrets. Fortunately, the four-armed desolate race great treasure can't be too low, not leaving the desolate race great treasure of the water emperor's son swallowing secrets. Wei Suo took a deep breath, a cold sweat on the vest. If the four-armed desolate race great treasure can also know the shapeshift great art that controls his restrictions of the water emperor's son swallowing secrets, he will be there that day, and there will be no chance to struggle. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1142. Chapter 1142 Four-armed desolate race news. Some pictures of the heaven-shaking great treasure battle of 6,000 or 7,000 years ago. Water emperor's son swallowing secrets itself weird, four-armed desolate race great treasure can't be traced, which makes Wei Suo feel that desolate race is not as simple as the surface is completely extinct. Rao is his temperament and calmness, but also a cold sweat. After a good night treasure, he will reset his mind and feel his water emperor's son swallowing secrets. But it didn't work at all. He didn't feel the weirdness of water emperor's son swallowing secrets at all. This is probably understood as the water emperor's son swallowing secrets itself. True Yuan is restrictions. After a thorough return, Wei Suo Ma began to carefully understand the three ancient scriptures that are important to him. Wei Suo sat on the ground, and lust was very fluctuating. Du surnamed cultivator and the latter two yellow court sect old antique also felt, but the three did not know what happened, but they both trembled. Waiting in shock. The material needed for this great treasure and the shapeshift great art, with the strength of your yellow court sect, should be prepared. After a stick of incense time, Wei Suo reached out and took out a green note, remembered something inside, and then clicked in front of the three. Ding Ding Quartet Great Treasure Ban, two yellow court sect old antique did not dare to neglect, the horse has been sweeping divine consciousness, they are all Aoka deep breath, some unknown Wei Suo mean, look at Wei Suo nodded, should be able to prepare. I will be in 10 days, and your yellow court sect will help me prepare the things that are necessary for this great treasure. Unless you have trouble with Divine Lord and Yellow Court sect, I will not. It's hard for you, you won't take your things anymore. Wei Suo looked at the two old antiques of Yellow Court section after the fact that his lion great treasure opened his mouth. Yellow Court sect had already picked up his valuable things. And the beautiful woman left him with a few of the true spirit hex scripture can handle the great treasure of heavenly tribulation, the rest are divine mystic great treasure can be engraved divine mark layout. Only this Deo technique shapeshift great art is a multi-material refining of four great treasures, the shapeshift great art, and the shapeshift great art array, which is ready for Yellow Court sect. Within 10 days. Okay, no problem. The two old antiques of Yellow Court sect couldn't help but look at each other and there was some ecstasy in their eyes. To know the absolute weakness of their situation, the most fear is the extortion of extortion. Wei Suo said that they are naturally very happy. The things I wanted before, you let your Yellow Court sect people step up and send them here. Wei Suo nodded. After saying this, he closed his eyes and began to test heaven-mending scripture. At that moment, he also entered the deep secret place of the beautiful woman, and also got some sentimental beauty of the three ancient scripture, so the three ancient scriptures are very complicated, but this stick of incense within the time, he has already felt very clear. And the beautiful woman does not have enough time to leave the divine mark she understands, but among the true spirit hex scripture, there are 7 divine marks recorded in conjunction with several great treasures. These 7 divine marks use Eternal Saint King. Scripture is carved into the flesh, and I am afraid it will bring him a good secret place. I still have a long way to go if I want to compare these people as soon as I run heaven-mending scripture. Wei Suo's heart soon gave birth to such a thought. After running heaven-mending scripture, he obviously felt that some of the world's origin chi was absorbed into his true Yuan, giving him the instinct to fill the tiny vacancies in true Yuan, but true Yuan has what changed the naked body, but he could not feel it at all. He knows that this is his current realm and there is no reason for shapeshift great art to analyze the origins of water emperor sun swallowing secrets and heaven-mending scripture, let alone to understand the improved shapeshift great art. Only the great treasure to the beautiful woman, the true treasure among the true immortal, and the great treasure sergeant who has a special understanding of the various restrictions, can only be in that short moment the problem and give something unravel. Now Wei Suo can't even feel the time of heaven-mending scripture. It can be unravel the power of his own water emperor sun swallowing secrets, just rely on the annotations in the beautiful woman heaven-mending scripture, knowing that at least the night and night of heaven-mending the mission of scripture is to allow the deserty race great treasure to leave this water emperor sun swallowing secrets to control itself without shapeshift great art. It's a bit embarrassing to say that Yellow Court sect is so pleasing, where to choose. Next, Wei Suo started to count again. Originally, Wei Suo wanted shapeshift great art and prepared to spend heavenly tribulation in Yellow Court section. However, Yellow Court sect now provides such a useful hidden secret place. Wei Suo is a bit embarrassed. After weighing the balance, Wei Suo felt that it was first to go to the Fire Domain God King to see it. After all, the Fire Domain God King side has no news yet, and his cave house may have some useful things. If the Fire Domain God King's Dongfu is not suitable for robbery, then it doesn't matter. A single level sect looks at the past and sees which sect's restrictions are the most tyrannical. Choose where, great treasure can't let them get the rest of the time. Move out and give them some compensation. Exaltation sect sees Wei Divine Lord. Because Yellow Court sect hasn't sent him what he wants, Wei Suo is ready to wait for culture here, but after less than a tea time, Yellow Court sect has not been sent yet. A surging sound, sounded in the area of Myriad Immortals Mountain, but someone with an exaltation sect came to see it. You will welcome him because the secret place has passed away, leaving only the ancient palace restrictions that she has arranged. There is no secret place secret, so Wei Suo directly let the 2 senior court sect old people will seek the exaltation sect welcome to come in. See Wei Divine Lord, I am here. The secret place is the life of my Divine Lord and Western immortal dwelling Yellow sect master, to tell Wei Divine Lord 2 news. It came to Exaltation Sect, a Golden Core elder, who was 50 years old. After seeing Wei Suo, the Exaltation Sect elders didn't have any nonsense. After a ceremony at Wei Suo, the horse sound transmission said this. What news? Wei Suo asked. He knows that it is not particularly important news. Huang Deyuan and others will not send a message to shapeshift great art and let people come. It's about the domain outer heavens demon exaltation sect's golden core elders saying with sound transmission, there have been cultivators. I have seen amazing escape light on the edge of fire stream great treasure 6 and Hiwa continent. It should be the escape light of void walking step shapeshift great art. One step is hundreds of miles, so Huang sect master judges that the domain outer heavens demon may have entered Hiwa continent. Hiwa continent, Wei Suo's brow suddenly jumped. Yes, and the divine mystic great treasure that Wei Divine Lord said can, the yellow sect master, they also found out that the cultivator with lonely cold continent has seen the god's secret place great treasure. Escape light. It seems that the position is also from Hiwa continent exaltation sect's golden core elders nodded, and the horse was a fast sound transmission. What? Wei Suo couldn't help but take a breath. I don't think it's so fast that there are four-armed desolate race great treasure and the secret place divine mystic great treasure that can be possessed by the body. After sweeping away all the opponents, so many levels of great sect unite and inquire about the news. The ability is really amazing. What worried him was that he heard Ling Longtian heard that Hiwa continent was the home of deserty race. The original desolate race was in Hiwa continent, and Hiwa continent would probably leave behind a lot of things related to deserty race. And to be sure, at least one desolate race great treasure can return to Hiwa continent after the Battle of Baibei, and then leave the inheritance of the divine mystic great treasure by the body possession. Wei Suo's heart was struggling for a moment, and the subconscious told him that it was necessary to set up shapeshift great art to stop the desolate race great treasure from being able to operate at Hiwa continent, because the desolate race great treasure could go to Hiwa continent for certain usefulness. Maybe there will be a good secret place for great treasure, or what serious consequences. But now that the four-armed desolate race has crossed Hiwa continent, it is highly probable that ancient emperor corpse has been killed by the four-armed desolate race great treasure. The original Wei Suo divine consciousness great treasure is in, and Tathagata divine glow gets after the three ancient scriptures of this beautiful woman. It should be able to fight with the four-armed desolate race great treasure, and in turn deal him with Tathagata divine glow. But now I don't know what the four-armed desolate race great treasure can get from the ancient emperor corpse naked body. It is a bit dare to let Wei Suo face him. No, it's too dangerous. I still have to rescue Steel Teeth younger sister and Ji Yat. After hesitating again and again, Wei Suo bit his teeth and curbed his thoughts of rushing to Hiwa continent. After all, even if the four-armed desolate race great treasure can have serious consequences, he now has no problem with the Water Emperor son swallowing secrets. He has also achieved the success of several top-level great treasures of desolate race and spirit race. The successor will not lose to this four-armed great treasure, and there is a chance to deal with the desolate race, but it is too dangerous to go now. You set up shapeshift great art to contact me with Divine Lord and Huang sect master and let them try to trace the whereabouts of this domain outer heavens demon. You can also let all the sects of Fire Stream Great Treasure 6 and Lonely Cold Continent know. After making up his mind, the Wei Suo horse was transmitted to the ear of the Exaltation Sect Golden Core. Go and do it also, Yongxiang Divine Lord and Huang Sect Master have a message. Let me tell Divine Lord that if Divine Lord does not leave Skyfall Continent within 3 days, they will help Divine Lord collect a batch of things that will be sent first. Come over. If Divine Lord leaves on the 3rd, they will set up shapeshift great art to contact Divine Lord and intercourse to you on the way to Divine Lord. The Exaltation Sect Golden Core Elder and Horse Sound transmission this sentence. Well, you let them go directly to Skyfall Continent. I won't leave in 3 days, no accidents. I might go to Yellow Court Sect first, then go to your Exaltation Sect once. Wei Suo saying with sound transmission. The Exaltation Sect Golden Core elders didn't stop, and after another ceremony, they left. You take me directly to Yellow Court Sect. I have to work for a few days. Wei Suo has made up his mind to break through his cultivation base to the Divine Mystic 4th layer and engrave all the divine marks on hand, while looking at the Yellow Gate Sect and the Exation Sect's restrictions, so he also stood up. Not waiting for the Yellow Court Sect to be delivered, he said directly to the old man named Duma Yangli, female cultivator, and to Yellow Court section. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1143. Chapter 1143, Magic Trace Reproduction. Among the dark treasures that are covered in darkness, the peaks are like a shadow of a magical figure standing between the heavens and the earth. There is a peak at the top, and there seems to be a strange building in the distance, but it is close, but it can be seen clearly. This is not a building at all, but a broken tomb. A section of the boat was inserted obliquely at the top of the mountain. This ancient ship does not know how long it has existed. It is full of vicissitudes of breath. There are countless holes and scars. It has not seen the original appearance. It is only half-shaped and looks like a thrilling great treasure. The battle, but through the naked body, but faintly swaying a kind of sen-condensed heavy luster, no decay at all. This ancient ship is obviously made from a certain top-grade essence metal divine iron. Before it is destroyed, it must be extraordinary. Surrounded by the mountain where the ancient ship is located, the surrounding 6 or 7 hills are all brilliance, built a lot of which temple-like buildings built with animal bones and animal skins, looking full of wild and barbaric atmosphere. There are often several escape lights that fly around the mountain. These escape lights are the atmosphere of the Golden Core Great Treasure Cultivator. It is natural that the Golden Core Great Treasure Cultivator is the same place to watch as the disciple. Suddenly, a blazing ray of light illuminates the sky, jumping from the very high altitude, and heading straight toward the mountain. At the moment, it is like smashing a horse's nest. The hills that were completely silent in the darkness are lit up like a candle. They all rush out of a dazzling brilliance and shine the dark world. A piece of translucent. Numerous ingenious cultivators are on the rise. These cultivators are only wearing the short skirt style of the shapeshift great art, but with a lot of shapeshift great art, and almost every cultivator. More or less with some indigo, like a totem-like rune. Who, dare to swear, I am ruined. Many names are also dressed like this, and the old man who is full of barbarism and wildness has a roar of heaven. The atmosphere of these old people is very strong great treasure, at least a dozen cultivators of the Golden Core 3/4 layer, and even an old man swaying the unique divine mystic atmosphere, is the great treasure of divine mystic realm cultivation base. But waiting for the countless cultivators to look at the silhouette of the descending escape light, all these cultivators are all stunned, all excited and trembled, the horses crouched down, toward the descending escape light pilgrimage, and out of the strange great treasure called surging sound. Among the sun-like escape lights, the figure is blue and blue, with a strong great treasure, 4 arms, and a face that is also a faceless tooth. It is the 4-armed desolate race great treasure that was born in the great treasure. Ken. This is the desolate old warship, unexpectedly finally beat into the sphere of appearance, fall in this secret place, do your residence, punishment. This is what we have to look up to things, especially in peacetime arrogant domineering, do not put us in the eye, we all want to kill him, but it ended up in that war. After the 4-armed desolate race great treasure can be dropped, no one is crouching on the ground, and is constantly facing him. He regards him as a cultivator worshipped by the gods, but is facing this broken and ruined secret place. The ancient ship that has stayed for tens of thousands of years, has a self-speaking surging sound. This 4-armed desolate race great treasure can obviously be a sigh of sorrow. I sigh that I was only a small character before the 67,000 years ago. I couldn't wait for the desolate race great treasure that can stand in front of me. They were all stepped on by themselves, but now they can't wait for these desolate race people to come alive. People of the same family have fallen, and a lonely person, even if they hated the same family, now seems to be not annoying. You all go back first and help me find out the whereabouts of Wei Suo's divine mystic cultivator. After talking to himself, the four-armed desolate race great treasure was able to produce such a surging sound against countless cultivators. Yes sir, desolate god ancestors. For a batch of cultivation base, the higher cultivator has such a surging sound, and then it is Ma Yuhi's screaming retreat. The four-armed desolate race great treasure can be seen in a moving, but it is plundered into the old warships used in a house. The ancient warships are also the scars left by the various shape-shift great art powerful energy, like the caves of the rock formations, without any left of the shape-shift great art medicine pill, just the secret place, standing on the piece ordinary cyan crystal stone, engraved with some extremely strange ancient characters. As soon as I saw these ancient characters, the four-armed desolate race great treasure was also a naked body with a naked body, and there was a deep roar in his mouth. The blue divine light filled the entire ancient warship. It is obvious that the mind is also extremely shocking. Penal, you are also like me, hurt and retreat to this secret place, do not know the final result of that day's war. And you are more unlucky than me, actually swept by the power of Heavenly Emperor's weapon, and fell to this place. Seeing the first few words of these ancient characters, the four-armed desolate race great treasure has a very disappointing look, and a disappointing self-speaking surging sound. Hey, Ge, and them, they have already fallen all the time, those spirit races and cultivators are already dying, and there is such a battle strength. What? All are missing. Why is this happening? We must have won this battle, why is it like this? Immediately, the four-armed desolate race great treasure's face was full of sadness and extremely suspicious, unbelievable look. What? We have a lot of injuries in desolate race, and the body after the fall, are you staying? Are you ordered by the elders to come back here? Suddenly, the eyes fell on the last few words of these ancient characters. The four-armed desolate race great treasure suddenly showed a real light in the eyes, and the face appeared ecstatic. Roar, the four-armed desolate race great treasure was so excited that he couldn't help but screaming wildly. Boom, the ancient warships among the cyan crystal stone by his body concussion out of the powerful energy to fly ash, the whole warship and mountain naked bodies are trembling, side of the sky clouds are in the changeable, within thousands of miles, all the cultivator are all trembling, thriller inexplicable, only think that the top of the mountain seems to have a pang great treasure things constantly expanding, to all the things are swallowed down general. Desolate god ancestors. Desolate god ancestors left again. And all these dressed up cultivators look at the mountain, but only see the four-armed desolate race great treasure can have vacated, crossed in the void, and ran away. Oh! A cloud of dark clouds and lightning shook in the void. What? The four-armed desolate race great treasure can reappear and has appeared in lonely cold continent. It seems to be heading towards cloud spirit continent. In a purple-black great treasure temple, Wei Suo is sitting in a cyan futon. The sudden, a black charm is shot. He just grabs his hand and takes the black charm in his hand. Face. At the moment, Wei Suo is already in the exaltation sect. After coming out of Myriad Immortals Mountain, Wei Suo first arrived at Yellow Court sect, and Divine Lord also knew the great treasure, did not dare to make any tricks, prepared all the things Wei Suo wanted, and let Wei Suo I have seen the entire Yellow Court section. After seeing the entire Yellow Court sect, Wei Suo rushed to Exaltation sect and stayed at Exaltation sect. As Wei Suo expected, the Yellow Court sect has been inherited for tens of thousands of years, leaving restrictions much more powerful than sects such as Exaltation sect and Heavenly Emperor Dao. The entire Yellow Court sect is built in a mountain valley, covering thousands of miles, but in this area, there are no restrictions on how many restrictions are arranged, which is comparable to the great treasure of divine mystic powerful energy. The number is actually more than 40. And there are several powerful powers that are forbidden by the great treasure, that is, with the current Weisuo, it is not necessarily sure to withstand it. So Weisuo was originally prepared to retreat in Yellow Court sect, at least to upgrade his cultivation base to the peak of divine mystic fourth layer, solve the problem of Water Emperor Sun swallowing secrets, and then go to Exaltation sect to compare. But seeing such a large amount of great treasure ban, Weisuo decided to go to Exaltation sect first, otherwise if there is any change in the situation, when the retreat, so many great treasures ban themselves, it is really enough eat a pot. Now distance in Myriad Immortals Mountain get very beautiful woman inheritance has passed 5th, his Water Emperor Sun swallowing secrets problem has been solved, and the water at hand attribute monster core has been refining, as long as the Huangdaijun, such as the next batch of water attribute monster core arrival, he should be able to quickly impact to divine mystic fourth layer peak, and then just fully grasp the divine marks engraving at hand, wait until restrictions and shapeshift great art device shapeshift great art great treasure already, you can hit heavenly tribulation. The next batch of water attribute monster core prepared by Huangdaijun and others, and the shapeshift great art and shapeshift great art great treasure against heavenly tribulation will be delivered in 2 days, but it is not thought that the trace of the four-armed desolate race great treasure has appeared again. Huangdaijun and Jade Heaven sect master, Jiying God Lord, etc., have all left the heavenly Emperor Dao gate at the moment, just in the secret place hidden by Xantai Linglan Void Golden Gourd, really laid out 17-8 Xantai Linglan. Really great kill treasure restrictions will be killed. This is definitely not good news for Weisuo. If the four-armed desolate race great treasure can really come to him, he is ready to face the desolate race great treasure while preparing for the robbery. The four-armed desolate race great treasure has passed through Lonely Cold Continent and is heading towards Cloud Spirit Continent. I have already rushed to Skyfall Continent. Just after a few hours, there was news again and again. Huangdaijun and others were afraid that the four-armed desolate race great treasure could come to Weisuo. They were already on their way to Exaltation sect, ready to Weisuo meets. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1144. Chapter 1144 can only rely on yourself. The people of Zhangsun aristocratic family are coming to see me. Soon after, there was another news that the people of Zhangsun aristocratic family were in a hurry to ask for Weisuo, and they were already on their way to Skyfall Continent. This news surprised Weisuo. Zhangsun aristocratic family is one of the leaders of Lonely Cold Continent. Especially now Yuhua aristocratic family is being leveled by him. Sects such as Huangpu aristocratic family, Great Cold Palace and Little Extreme Circle have lost huge great treasure. Under the lust shape, the Zhangsun aristocratic family is already a Lonely Cold Continent number 1 section. I don't know what the people of Zhangsun aristocratic family are eager to find him. Come so fast. What surprised Weisuo was that, less than half a day after the news came, the people of Zhangsun aristocratic family had already arrived at Exaltation sect. It's actually 2 of them. When the people of Exaltation sect brought the people of Zhangsun aristocratic family to the front, Weisuo knew that there must be a great treasure, because the 2 of them had seen him. The male cultivator had tall bones, slender eyebrows and cold face. Full of majesty, divine light on his body formed 1,000 white arms with various shape-shift great art prints behind him. This person was Zhang Sunjing, who fought a battle with Yuhua Yingtian great treasure in the place of secret place ice and snow divine salamander. The other person is a beautiful girl who is only 17 years old. She is wearing 2 horns and a small pimple. It looks like a naughty, but it is Zhang Sunjing's sister Zhang Sunziru. These 2 people are Zhangsun aristocratic family important characters, usually certainly not in the distance Lonely Cold Continent very far great treasure 6, and now see two people dusty, God lust are very tired, it is obviously non-stop to come over, and must be used by any powerful inheritance shapeshift great art device, otherwise it is impossible to get exaltation sex so quickly, but also in the Huangdaijun and other people in front. When Zhang Sunjing saw Wei Suo, his face was as usual, but there was still a hint of awe in his eyes, and Zhang Sunziro kept looking at Wei Suo, a very excited look. The two fellow deists are so anxious to come to me, what is it, Wei Suo, time is tight, no nonsense, just ask Zhang Sunjing and Zhang Sunziro. It doesn't matter, we are so anxious to see the Wei Divine Lord, just for the outer heavens demon. Zhang Sunjing said that he was dignified and there was no shouting. Say it. Wei Suo eyes sharp flash, immediately looked at Zhang Sunjing, and Zhang Sunjing also know Wei's meaning, also immediately 1510 of fast said down, in fact, last this header domain Suo outer heavens in demon after the appearance of aristocratic family, we Zhang Sun aristocratic family have also noticed that the domain outer heavens demon is our natural enemy of cultivator, so we grandson the world has been traced the whereabouts of this demon. Later, after we got out of lonely cold continent, we entered Hiwa continent and entered Hiwa continent, a secret place called Desolate God. Desolate God is forbidden, what is it? Wei Suo asked immediately. The secret place is very secret place. In the secret place of the northernmost part of Hiwa continent, it is said that it has been guarded by a group of cultivators of the secret place for tens of thousands of years, and no outsiders are allowed to enter. There are several levels of sect in tens of thousands of years that I wanted to go inside to see, but the cultivator that I entered was gone, but the cultivator inside did not come out normally, so the secret place was naturally listed as a forbidden place. No cultivator to enter again. Zhang Sunjing looked at Wei Suo and explained. Well, keep going. Wei Suo frowned and looked at Zhang Sunjing. When the field outer heavens demon entered the desolate God forbidden land, he quickly left and returned to lonely cold continent and headed towards cloud spirit continent. Zhang Sunjing took a deep breath, said, we later, this domain outer heavens demon did not enter the cloud spirit continent, but entered a secret place in the wilderness between lonely cold continent and cloud spirit continent. A secret place is in the forbidden place. Wei Suo was suddenly taken aback. Yes, and the secret place should be the place where the domain outer heavens demon was built. There are also a lot of fields outer heavens demon inside. That field outer heavens demon is probably what has gotten from the forbidden land of desolate God. Then go to the secret place and want to release the domain outer heavens demon. Zhang Sunjing took a deep breath, and the tone could not help but tremble. This is our Zhang Sun aristocratic family, at the expense of more than a dozen cultivators, the scene of the secret place where the domain outer heavens demon went after a calming of the mind. Zhang Sunjing reached out and put a white pearl-like shapeshift great art on it. With a true Yuan, the brilliance from shapeshift great art, the beads came out and formed a pair of pictures. Where is the domain outer heavens demon established? Wei Suo also completely changed his face. This is the secret place in the wilderness between lonely cold continent and cloud spirit continent. He immediately asks such a sentence, the surging sound has changed a bit. Zhang Sunjing's image of this shapeshift great art is three. The first one is in the wild wilderness of the ancient trees. The four-armed desolate race great treasure can stand in a slave before the black light rising from the ground. The second picture is that this four-armed desolate race great treasure can enter this black light, and there are tens of thousands of stands inside, all of them are bronze ancient temples. And these bronze-colored ancient temples are all exactly the same, forming a maze of giant great treasure. The black light of the giant great treasure envelopes all these ancient bronze temples, obviously with an amazing powerful energy down, you can only fly in the area more than 10 feet off the ground. These bronze-colored ancient halls are all shiny with divine iron's luster, and the divine mark is shining inside, all of them are a circle of blurred halo, and it seems that origin chi has different strengths. Each of the ancient bronze temples is like an amazing great treasure. The third picture is the four-armed desolate race great treasure standing in front of one of the ancient bronze temples. The bronze ancient temple in this picture is more clearly seen. The copper-colored divine iron itself has a breath of light. This is definitely not a single divine iron, but it has been tried and used to refine the material of the tired body of immortal level shapeshift great art great treasure. Inside the divine iron, a gleaming light pattern is as immortal, with a paradox of demonic chi. And faintly, from the entrance of this ancient bronze temple, there seems to be a standing sarcophagus in the mouth, dense and infiltrating. These sarcophagi are very great treasures, and they are faintly visible. They are all engraved with ancient texts completely different from the cultivation world, and among the sarcophagi, they are a statue of the priest great treasure, some of them, still flashing brilliance, as if breathing. This is definitely a stunning scene. No one can see that the scene can be calm, especially the Weisuo who knows the origin of the deserty race and knows the desert race. This is near the ancient mountains, and the nearest heaven's dome from Cloud Spirit continent has 120,000 miles. Zhang Sunjing glanced at Weisuo. Not near the Luoju wilderness, Weisuo's big shock in his heart is even more unspeakable. Although this ancient mountain range has not been heard by Weisuo, since the mouth of Zhou Qingning and Zantai Linglan learned that the giant great treasure was obtained from the Luoju wilderness, Weisuo has already been around the Luoju wilderness. Do some understanding, at least this ancient mountain range is very far from the Luoju wilderness. How did you get these pictures? This is too shocking for Weisuo. He really needs some buffering to restore his normal thinking ability, so he asked this sentence again. We have used some heritage shapeshift great art, far followed this domain outer heavens demon, but after this domain outer heavens to enter this black light dome, our demon great art also no shapeshift great art to see inside, so we have two elders regardless of danger, near the edge of the black light dome, the number of pieces of shapeshift great art device set shapeshift great art into the inside, only to get these paintings face, but that is our two elders into the shapeshift great art. When the domain outer heavens demon now, this domain outer heavens hunted out, we go to more than 10 people, only 2 lucky survived. Zhang Sunjing took a deep breath and looked at Weisuo. When we came to see the Wei Divine Lord, the 2 of us remaining had already heard the news. The domain outer heavens demon had entered the ancient bronze hall, and it seems to have been set up in the shapeshift great art. Seal after a meal, Zhang Sunjing, and bit the teeth, and quickly looked at Weisuo. Outer heavens is demon our common great cultivator enemy, we come to find treasure Wei Lord, because the Wei Divine Lord had previously heard the news that Heaven's Dome was about to break up and the demon was born, and we knew Wei Divine was not alone, so he would like to invite Wei Divine Lord to deal with this field immediately out our Heaven's demon. Otherwise, as long as there are dozens of domain outer heavens demon born, our cultivation world will probably be completely destroyed. An old ancestor of our Zhangsun aristocratic family has also used the secret place shapeshift great art, abandoning the flesh and raising the cultivation base, stimulating the final potential, and preparing to join forces with the Wei Divine Lord. Looking at the cultivation world, I am afraid that only Wei Divine Lord has the ability to contain this domain outer heavens demon. Weisuo is really going to cry. Zhang Sunjing said that only he can do it, it is too much to lift him. Don't say that a domain outer heavens demon may not be able to deal with it. If there are a few more out, then how can he be killed to the slag? And the most important thing is that he wants to be independent, but he can't do it alone. The 4-armed desolate race great treasure can already know that he is with the spirit race, and he is sure to be the first to deal with him. If there is dozens or even hundreds of deserty race great treasures can be born, and he must have escaped from hiding in the sky. Didn't the spirit race suffer a fatal defeat in the battle of 670,000 years ago? How did the lost race still have such a legacy and a ghost place to stay? On the one hand, there is no such thing as a spirit race that fights side by side with oneself. Instead, it depends on oneself alone. Wei Divine Lord, be quick, or you won't be there. Seeing that Weisuo didn't talk, Zhang Sunjing said very quickly and anxiously. Can you be sure that the domain outer heavens demon didn't do shapeshift great art and will soon release the rest of the demon? Also, is the restrictions in that place not so powerful? Do you have any things in Zhangsun aristocratic family that can make people's cultivation base faster? And, is there anything that can withstand heavenly tribulation? Wei Suo is almost crying, and even the canon is looking at Zhang Sunjing. New and most complete novel. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1145. Chapter 1145 is really cool. Our Zhangsun aristocratic family has paid the price of a dozen elders, but a shapeshift great art that can be found inside can help us know the lust shape inside. According to the two elders we survived the news, that domain outer heavens demon should not have shapeshift great art in the short time to release the rest of the domain outer heavens demon. And we are now rushing past, and it is very likely that we can stop this domain outer heavens demon. Zhang Sunjing apparently has Wei Suo as the only person to save cultivation world, and quickly answered Wei Suo's question. According to the two elders we had previously penetrated into the shapeshift great art device, that secret place where the restrictions many of the divine mystic fifth layer energy, not even excluding the powerful with true immortal energy, so want to deal with that domain outer heavens demon, must set shapeshift great art to draw him out. Fortunately, the domain of outer heavens demon is very killing, and what is wrong with it will be rushed out. We, Zhangsun aristocratic family, have a day of primordial spirit Dan, Wei divine lord. You want to promote some cultivation base and then fight with that domain outer heavens demon. We can go out and talk to us, and then set shapeshift great art to us. As for the shapeshift great art and shapeshift great art great treasure, which can withstand heavenly tribulation, we have several pieces. The black light outside, can you go in? Get in. Zhang Sunjing said that there was some spit, but Wei Suo's sentence made his mind turn a little bit. I said that the restrictions inside are more powerful than others. Many of them may have the power of true immortal. To play with the domain outer heavens demon, they can only play outside, but Wei Suo still has to ask if he can go in. This is what do you mean by thinking that the domain outer heavens demon is not powerful enough, but also to add more difficulty to yourself? Can you get in? Wei Suo asked this question again. A genius and crazy idea is forming in his mind. If you can do it, you should first look at the answer from Zhang Sunjing. Going in is the way to go in. Our two elders used a break from the Zhangsun aristocratic family. The ancient talisman broke through the black light and scored several shapeshift great art machines. The ancient talisman we have, but, Zhang Sunjing looked at Wei Suo and couldn't say a bit. His look is already self-evident, you can enter, but why do you want to go in? Get ready for the ancient talisman and all the shapeshift great art and shapeshift great art great treasures that are resistant to heavenly tribulation, especially against the shapeshift great art and heaven shift great art great treasure of heavenly tribulation. You can collect it from the Zhangsun aristocratic family, and help me collect it, and I will go to my hands with the primordial spirit Dan, Wei Suo said without a nonsense. You should have a powerful shapeshift great art device that allows us to get to the secret place soon. I said you will promise to go. As soon as Wei Suo was heard, Zhang Sunjing did not respond. Zhang Sunziru was a surging sound intercourse, and the eyes were all worshipped stars. You are not my idol. Zhang Sunziru's reaction suddenly made Wei Suo a bit dumbfounded. Big brother Wei, can you send me the most common thing, engrave a name or something, or write a name for me in my stuff? Zhang Sunziru is again intercourse and looks at Wei Suo. Zhang Sunjing couldn't help but roll one's eyes, then he looked like he was not steel. He looked helplessly at Wei Suo. Wei divine lord, forgive me, my little sister has always admired your deeds. You are an idol. This time she is also dying to come together. Not only me alone, I don't know how many people use Big Brother Wei as an idol. Seeing that Zhang Sunjing looked like he hated the iron, Zhang Sunziru was very contemptuous and grinned. Wei divine lord, Zhang Sunjing is speechless. I can't help but want to say that I can't help it. My little girl can't tell you what to do at this time, but before he can say anything, Wei Suo is reaching out and the horse is excited. A talisman goes out. Immediately, an exaltation sect elder horse swept in. Help me to tell the clouds divine lord and Huang sect master, let them contact the people of Zhangsun aristocratic family, let them meet with us and the people of Zhangsun aristocratic family to meet us. Also, inform the rest of the great sect to help Yellow Court sect prepare my dating triptych Great Treasure Forbidden Materials, must be completed in the next 2 days, when the naked body is shipped to the secret place, listen to my communication. The elder of the exaltation sect swept in and Wei Suo took the fast intercourse. Let's go. Let's go ahead and look at the lust situation. Zhang Sunjing hasn't come back yet, Wei Suo has been intercourse, and he looks at him. This time, Zhang Sunjing is more than a god. The outer heavens demon is so sharp. He knows that Wei Suo definitely knows it, but Wei Suo is now so quick and neat that he wants to go, which makes him the head can't turn anymore. Come on, brother, what are you doing? Zhang Sunziru suddenly glanced at him, and the horse looked at Wei Suo with a star-studded star, great treasure. Big brother Wei, do you have any trouble with treasure receiving pocket? I will help you bring it all right. Don't he be such a great treasure? And what means we don't know at all? Zhang Sunjing couldn't help but look at Wei Suo, but thought that he had come to Wei Suo, and now Wei Suo agreed, and hesitated. As soon as this thought appeared, he bit his bite, reached out and took out a few shapeshift great art pieces. Immortal Ascension Platform. Once the shapeshift great art was taken out, Wei Suo was a slight glimpse, because these are obviously shape teleportation shapeshift great art, 3 of which are obviously Immortal Ascension sect's Immortal Ascension Platform. The shapeshift great art Immortal Ascension sect, which reproduces the shapeshift great art, is gone. I can't think of the Zhangsun aristocratic family. We had some cooperation and intercourse with Immortal Ascension sect earlier, so we got some Immortal Ascension platform from their hands, and of course they also changed some good things from our hands. Zhang Sunjing si Wei Suo meaning, explain this sentence, and the way, wait we have to first out exaltation sect, send some news out, and then first through a few shapeshift great art array relay, to the heavenly profound continent began to use these shapeshift great art, otherwise the distance between the shapeshift great the art device was not shapeshift great art. Let's just get to that sacred place. Go, brother, don't waste so much, it's a waste of time. Anyway, we are bringing big brother Wei there as soon as possible. Zhang Sunziru thought that Zhang Sunjing had a lot of words, and after squinting at Zhang Sunjing, he quickly swept away. Big brother Wei, I just told you, or you think about it, just give me something, I will collect it. You think about it, if you deal with the domain outer heavens demon this time, if it falls, I will not be able to name you in the future. Hey, I'm wrong, big brother Wei, you are so powerful, how can the field outer heavens demon be your opponent? You go, of course, just put the domain outer heavens demon, big brother Wei, you better give me something that is of special significance, preferably your own refining. After Wei Suo and Zhang Sunjing swept out of the exaltation sect, Zhang Sunziru said to Ma Wulian, Wei Suo. Zhang Sunjing is vomiting blood. This younger sister's usual look is ice white but smart. How to be so idiotic in front of Wei Suo, just ask treasure receiving pocket and the like, don't bother, do she think treasure receiving pocket is sack, do you want to carry them one by one, is it still tired? If you change it, I am afraid that everyone else would like to think that she wants to rob the treasure receiving pocket. Good. Touching such an admirer, Wei Suo felt very embarrassed. He found a fireball talisman and condensed a water spirit Yuan Qi. He left a mark of his name on the fireball talisman and gave it to Zhang Sun. Ziru, this is my own refining when I was in Spirit Peak City, I will give it to you. Wow, when you were a small rogue cultivator in Spirit Peak City, ah. At that time, You actually refine talisman. Ah. This is a beautiful character, I am so happy. When I saw that Wei Suo really gave me something, or Wei Suo's own refining, Zhang Sunziru was so happy that her eyes turned into two rounds. Big brother Wei, would you please tell me more? Your business. By the way, is Ji Ying God Lord at that time really pretending to be? Little girl, Zhang Sunjing couldn't stand it anymore, and glanced at Zhang Sunziru. Don't entangle Wei Divine Lord, Wei Divine Lord must be ready all the way. This is Zhang Sunziru thought that Zhang Sunjing was very correct. Sorry to spit out his tongue and watched Fireball Talisman several times before he got the reward of great treasure. Wei Divine Lord, I only heard what you said to be a great treasure. If you want to send out the news, you will be able to ask the shielded sergeant to set up shapeshift great art. Please go there, after all, the lust shape. It's so severe that all sects will definitely be able to help with great treasure. Zhang Sunjing asked Zhang Sunziru not to talk, but he couldn't help but ask Wei Suo. Although Wei Suo was moved, his heart was really bottomless. That's no need, now the band masters are so powerful, can't you beat the restrictions arranged by the outer heavens demon? Wei Suo shook his head and said, it's better to set up shapeshift great art to help me find the shapeshift great art and heaven shift great art great treasure against heavenly tribulation. Wei Divine Lord, what do you mean? I am completely confused. Also, Wei Divine Lord, what are you so anxious to resist the heavenly tribulation? Zhang Sunjing stunned, and he couldn't figure out that Wei Suo's wanted shapeshift great art. He said that the restrictions were laid out, thinking that if there were a lot of restrictions in a secret place outside the black light, the domain outer heavens demon would be brought out, at least to add a lot of trouble to the domain outer heavens demon, but Wei Suo at the time, some of the questions were not answered. Nothing, I want to go in. When it is not, I will be able to greet heavenly tribulation, use heavenly tribulation to deal with the domain outer heavens demon. Wei Suo looked at Zhang Sunjing and said, what? Motivate heavenly tribulation? Zhang Sunjing and Zhang Sunziru were scared at once and almost fell directly from the air. Big brother Wei, you are so cool, even dare to do so, I really admire you. After a long while, Zhang Sunziru was full of little stars, watching Wei Suo even more admired. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1146. Chapter 1146 adds strength. Inspiring heavenly tribulation, Zhang Sunjing can compete with Yehua Yingtian and is already the top figure in this generation of cultivators, but this time it was really made by Wei Suo as fast as an idiot. This heavenly tribulation is something, but this has not been heard for a long time since cultivator has been provoked, and what can be provoked? What is this cultivation world? Not a fist great treasure is not a daddy great treasure nor a chest great treasure, but a heaven and earth for great treasure. Heaven and earth will not allow you, to destroy you, that is called heavenly tribulation. Fighting with the cultivation base and divine ability is not as good as yours, but it is fun, but fighting with the old days, it is really endless. Throughout the ages, there are so many peaks and cross-country characters, 10 of them, but 7 or 8 are dead in heavenly tribulation, but Wei Suo mentions heavenly tribulation as easy as drinking. Wei Divine Lord, can you promote heavenly tribulation with your current cultivation base? After a great diploma, Zhang Sunjing replied with a little thought and looked at Wei Suo. I am double divine mystic, and the flesh is different than the usual great treasure, so when divine mystic 4th layer breaks through the divine mystic 5th layer, it will lead to heavenly tribulation. Wei Suo looks at Zhang Sunjing, Zhang Sun aristocratic family. Since he is on a front with him, he is not ready to hide. He said that he should get more shapeshift great art great treasure and shapeshift great art against heavenly tribulation. Wow, that's so cool. It seems that no one has been able to motivate heavenly tribulation for more than 10,000 years. Zhang Sun's Iru is like a five-naked body. And Big Brother Wei is still dare to use heavenly tribulation to confront the enemy. It is true that so many cultivators have not been so discouraged by Big Brother Wei. Divine Mystic 4th layer to Divine Mystic 5th layer can evoke heavenly tribulation. No wonder Wei Divine Lord, you have to ask if we have a spiritual herb that raises the cultivation base. Also ask if you can enter that restrictions. Zhang Sun Jing has completely returned to God, but there is still some shock and tremor. But is there any other shapeshift great art? This is too dangerous to motivate heavenly tribulation. You thought I thought, if I had a shapeshift great art, I would use heavenly tribulation. The outer heavens demon is at least half the strength of true immortal, and no one knows if the field outer heavens demon he released is much more powerful than him. A true immortal can smooth out a few great treasures. Wei Suo couldn't help but say the sentence with depression. If it is not necessary to rescue Ling Longtian and Ji Ya as soon as possible, if he wants to rob, he must be prepared for the next 7 or 8 years, or with his personality, no one has a fatal threat to him. Also a possibility. Now, the four-armed desolate race great treasure has also disrupted his plans. At least a lot of divine mark has no time to engrave into the naked body. But there is really no shapeshift great art. If there is a lot of desolate race great treasure, even if it is just the same as the four-armed desolate race great treasure, he will break the great heavens nature bottle and save it. Ling Longtian and others are also dead. Now, there is a lot of great treasure in that place. If heavenly tribulation can cover the four-armed desolate race great treasure, it is impossible for him to set up the shapeshift great art. And look at those restrictions should be to prevent destructive restrictions. If there is powerful energy bombardment, it should be able to automatically counterattack. Used to resist heavenly tribulation should be able to play a very great treasure. If you count well, this is probably a lot more than the success of the Yellow Court sect. Wei Divine Lord, you are indeed a model for me to wait for all cultivators, so great treasure is worthy of my worship. Wei Suo's great treasure is of course the little swindler consciousness, in order to save himself and save Ling Longtian and Ji Ya, but in the eyes of Zhang Sunjing and Zhang Sunziru, of course, it is completely different. In the eyes of the two, it is clearly Wei Suo to save the world cultivator, and the preparation of great treasure and the domain outer heavens demon are all gone. After all, there are so many great treasures in the record, which one is not prepared for countless years. The result is finally in the heavenly tribulation, like Wei Suo rushing to rob, almost like looking for death. So when I heard Wei Suo say, Zhang Sunjing suddenly looked awe-inspiring and paid a deep respect to Wei Suo, and felt that Wei Suo was a hero that he could not reach. Great treasure, you must not die. Zhang Sunziru even had tears in his direct eyes, which made Wei Suo couldn't help but roll one's eyes. What is it called? If it is not bad, he will be there instead of using yellow. Court sect has a lot of success, but it makes him seem to have gone. Now that you know my intentions, then you are bothered to take me there. I have to prepare for it all the way. And if you can help me collect some records about heavenly tribulation, it would be best. After Wei Suo turned over the roll one's eyes, he took out a jade talisman with a divine mark and was ready to see if he could get a gun again and grab a few divine marks into it. Wei Divine Lord, you are such a great treasure. We, Zhang Sun aristocratic family, must do our best. Zhang Sun Jing, after hearing Wei Suo say this, Ma's look nodded with great solemnity, and he even shot a dozen more flames and communicated. Right. Great treasure divine mark is also very useful for me to promote divine ability and arrange restrictions. If you can help me collect a few divine marks, the possibility of my success will be great. As soon as I saw Zhang Sunjing doing this, Wei Suo was very embarrassed to say this. Now he has the divine mark in the true spirit hex scripture, and there are a total of 17 divine marks that can be engraved into the naked body. It's so short to rush in, there's no time to engrave a few, and the divine mark at hand can't be used. But fortunately, these great sects are now fully supportive of themselves.
If you don't take a few more flights, it's really not the Spirit Peak City little swindler origin. Alright, Zhang Sunjing is now admiring Wei Suo. Now he has recorded his 2 divine marks, intercourse to Wei Suo, and once again sent a message to let Zhang Sun aristocratic family use all the power to help Wei Suo collect great treasure road divine mark. Zhang Sun aristocratic family is really good. Wei Suo, the more he looked at Zhang Sunjing and Zhang Sun Zairu, the more pleasing the eye, and after he had sighed the sentence, he began to fully understand the divine mark. However, he did not know that the ancestors of the Zhang Sun aristocratic family also happened to be the inheritance of a great treasure that participated in the Outer Heavens demon. The murder of the domain Outer Heavens demon is very clear, and the more cultivation is known. Base high, the more powerful the power of sect, will be the first to become the prey of the domain Outer Heavens demon. As for the difference between the domain Outer Heavens demon and the Desertate race, I am afraid that there are not a few people in the cultivation world. Perhaps the domain Outer Heavens demon recorded in some classics is just the desolate race great treasure that just happened to be born. As for the cruelty and not cruel, who knows, maybe in the eyes of the real domain Outer Heavens demon, I also think that the ordinary cultivator is ugly, face to face, anyway, it is not pleasing to the eye, it has been a deadly enemy since ancient times, it is not a fight possible. Because the entire heavenly profound continent is almost the same as the spatial teleportation shapeshift great art device that Zhang Sunjing had previously brought, it took only about an hour. Wei Suo and Zhang Sunjing and others have entered the Cloud Spirit continent. The edge of just entering the Cloud Spirit continent Heaven's Dome, a group of great treasures and dazzling escape light have been like a fire stream comet, welcoming Wei Suo and Zhang Sunjing, Zhang Sun Zairu. Yellow Sect Master, have you already turned them all? Wei Suo knew that Huang Daijun and others would meet with him at this secret place, so it was not surprising to see this road clearly divine mystic great treasure, but when it was close, I took a trip. Because of the flying, not only Huang Daijun, Jade Heaven Sect Master and Saint King Sect Master, Uniying Divine Lord, but also Wang Wei, Sushengxiu and Tourmaline Sect Master. At this moment, Wang Wei and Sushengxiu and Tourmaline Sect Master are very peaceful. They have no suffocation. It is like a good old man who has cultivated for many years and has no temper. Compared with the fierceness of the previous 3 when he was shackled by himself, Wei Suo was not used to it, but he was somewhat guilty. Yes, the 3 of them have already been fully ruined by us. This is all the 3 of them intercourse out of shapeshift great art and divine mark. After Huang Daijun and others fell in front of Wei Suo and Zhang Sunjing and Zhang Sun Zairu, they first put a dozen notes in front of Wei Suo's, then nodded to Wang Wei and other 3 people. You all listen to Wei, the Divine Lord ordered it again. All right, Wang Wei and others all nodded, and obediently stood like Wei Suo's. These are all the things we've collected for you so far. Huang Daijun horse handed over a dozen treasure receiving pockets to Wei Suo and said, Myriad Phoenix's young master, we don't have refining, because Myriad Phoenix's palace asks us for lust, willing to use a bottle of Great Emperor Holy Spring. You let go of Myriad Phoenix's young master. Great Emperor Holy Spring. Huang Daijun in the sentence, Wei Suo and Zhang Sunjing and Zhang Sun Zairu all took a breath of air and their eyes were full of great treasure. The reputation of this Great Emperor Holy Spring is really great treasure, and many books have records about this thing. Great Emperor Holy Spring is said to be the spring of the manifestation, the land of some great treasures. It has a fascinating atmosphere of the great place of the cultivator. It can not only instantly supplement true UN, but also damage the body. Amazing repair, the limbed body is knocked out of the great treasure, and even the life can be reborn. Is the Myriad Phoenix's young master left with only the head and not dead? Is it because of this, Wei Suo great treasure? After a surprise, some responded and looked at Huang Daijun and Jade Heaven Sect Master. Yes,
The reason why Myriad Phoenix's young master is not dead is because there is a divine talisman in the naked body of the great Emperor Holy Spring. According to Myriad Phoenix's palace, they also only got 2 bottles of great Emperor Holy Spring left over from the ancients. 1 bottle has been consumed in the Myriad Phoenix's palace for thousands of years, and now only this bottle is left. Huang Daijun took out a golden, thumb great treasure crystal stone bottle and carefully handed it to Wei Suo. Now this bottle of great Emperor Holy Spring has already intercourse out. Myriad Phoenix's young master's head I also intercourse first. Keep it in their hands, as for whether or not to let go, or listen to you. Then let him go. Wei Suo took a deep breath and quickly took the bottle up. The effectiveness of this great Emperor Holy Spring is even more impressive than the primordial beginning divine wood. For his robbery, there may be a great treasure. As for the Myriad Phoenix's young master, if you want to rob you, then no, but the robbery, and deal with the desolate race great treasure, then Myriad Phoenix's young master and Myriad Phoenix's palace, naturally nothing at all. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1147. Chapter 1147 is scary. Pu. A secret place is wild, and suddenly a surging sound is light, and a white splendid light shines through it. Among the white splendid light, the figures of Wei Suo, Zhang Sunjing, Zhang Sunziru, and Huang Daijun, Jade Heaven Sect Master, Wang Wei, Sushengxiu and Tourmaline Sect Master have appeared. Wei Divine Lord, Great Treasure, Miss, I have seen your predecessors. Wei Suo and others have just emerged. In the lower mountain forest, there are 2 splendid light welcoming. They are all old people with vicissitudes. When these 2 old people look at Wei Suo, they are obviously respectful. Look. Hua elders, English elders, where is the black light in the end? How can you not see it here? Zhang Sunjing was also a horse. After the 2 old men returned to the ceremony, Ma asked. In the valley behind the mountain in front, just all of them are covered by the ancient trees, and they can't be seen from the sky. However, you can see it with the shapeshift great art. The 2 old people of the Zhang Sun aristocratic family walked forward and secreted a little bit of a mountain that was barely visible. How is the lust shape inside? Zhang Sunjing nodded and asked Ma. The domain Outer Heavens Demon seems to be still treating the rest of the field, Outer Heavens Demon, and you can follow us. The 2 old people of the Zhang Sun aristocratic family knew that the situation was tense and not too much. After saying this, Ma Xianxing fell to the bottom of the mountain. These desolate races have actually built such a place here. If Steel Teeth younger sister sees it, it must be completely white. As the 2 old people of Zhang Sun aristocratic family fell, Wei Suo was a sigh of relief. In the valley below, there is a tall, oval-shaped wafer, which seems to be connected to a window in the black place of the secret place. It is densely populated, and each building is exactly the same. Death Chi is nestled in a flat ground. This copper-colored temple is a suffocating feeling that can't be said to be cold and strong great treasure. There is a force in the stock that sways in it. Huang Daijun and others have all changed their faces completely, and Zhang Sunziru, who has always had confidence in Wei Suo, has a white face. The oppressive feeling of this copper-colored temple is too strong. Now, all the forces of great sect, which have gathered together for 100 years, may not be able to create a building of such scale and powerful energy. The domain Outer Heavens Demon is in that temple. The 2 old men looked at Wei Suo and reached for a little. Looking at the place where the 2 old people had pointed out, all the people were shocked by the moment, and Wei Suo couldn't help but roll one's eyes. In the heart, great treasure called a surging sound. Screw your sister. The exact place of the secret place is in the shapeshift great art mirror in this window, and only a small piece of great treasure. But it is faintly clear that the 4-armed desolate race great treasure can stand in the middle of the dark and gloomy great treasure hall. The walls of the great treasure are like the murals embedded in it. There is a stone sarcophagus with a giant great treasure. Every stone sarcophagus is very scary.
Every stone sarcophagus has been opened, and Wei Suo's eyesight is much more powerful than Huang Daijun and others, so the subtle secret place can be seen more clearly. Each of these sarcophagus is a high-grade treasure standing in it, and many of them have splendid light flashing. Life is not completely gone, and Wei Suo sees that some of them are very dry. I just want to do the same thing, but there are more than 4 arms, some with 6 arms and some with 8 arms. According to Ling Longtian's shapeshift great art, the Deserti race is a step-by-step, resulting in a variant of the naked body, so even the 8-armed desolate race is not purely twice as powerful as the 4-armed desolate race great treasure. That is at least the strength of the 4-armed desolate race great treasure. The strength of true immortal second layer is certain. Now it's just insight. All these giant treasures add up to at least 40. According to the arrangement of the eucalyptus in the temple, if the sarcophagus can't be added, the whole temple, the stone sarcophagus in the universe, is absolutely 100. Shua. The shapeshift great art mirror of the Zhangsun aristocratic family is clearly returned to the scene by typing into the Black Heavens dome's shapeshift great art. No surging sound can be heard, but at this moment, everyone seems to hear it. Surging sound sounds empty, and they are all shocked. I do, Wei Suo's head's almost erected. At this time, there were 2 sarcophagi in the sarcophagus. 2 bright columns of light were shining. It was a desolate race great treasure inside. Binocular, out of sight. The desolate race great treasure is also indigo, crumpled, but the light of his 2 entries is visible to everyone. The Deserti race great treasure can grow 6 arms and grow long. With 2 corners, the imposing manner of the body cannot tell people. Giggle. Wei Suo and others suddenly had a surging sound. Wei Suo and others turned around, but now Zhangsun Ziru scared his teeth to fight. Originally Zhangsun Ziru is to own idol Wei Suo very have confidence, but now see such a shocking thing, she is completely empty. Looking at Wei Suo turned her head, she can't help pulling the Wei Suo's shapeshift great art clothes. Big brother Wei, this is really too scary, or we first find a place to hide all forget, and then the long term. Don't be afraid, it's best that they all live. Give me 100 or 200 helpers to resist heavenly tribulation. Wei Suo is very arrogant, a slap in the face, a look that is completely fearless, and a little star that makes Zhangsun Ziru full of eyes, admire to death. Wei Suo's words is good, desolate race great treasure can be more, when the heavenly tribulation, to resist heavenly tribulation of desolate race great treasure can be more, equivalent to helper more, but Wei Suo actually is not do shapeshift great art. The heart is very virtual. After all, do not desolate race great treasure can have an amazing fierce roll, don't he had time to move heavenly tribulation gave him seconds. What is that device? To Zhangsun aristocratic family old man is not Zhangsun Ziru this blind worship idol, but also feel Wei Suo said although bullish, but the heart is also very empty, but such 2 people for Wei Suo but more admire, their own heart is so empty, but also for the world cultivator and this domain outer heavens demon desperately. This is what thought realm this is simply the records of the living Buddha style figures. These people are not as clear as Huang Daijun and others. Wei Suo had to fight to break the great heavens nature bottle. At this moment, the 2 old men who have been staring at the 4-armed desolate race great treasure are all a surging sound. Among the images from the shapeshift great art mirror, 4 arms desolate race great treasure can have an ice blue flame in his hand. It is the god medicine. Ancient emperor corpse has already died in the hands of the 4-armed desolate race great treasure. Wei Suo saw that his eyes were full of great treasure. Others don't know what it is, but he is very clear that the 4-armed desolate race great treasure can be taken out at the moment, which is clearly the magical medicine in the ancient emperor corpse naked body. The ancient emperor corpse's magical medicine is now in his hands, so the ancient emperor corpse must have ceased to exist. For Wei Suo, ancient emperor corpse although almost scared to frighten him to death, but somehow not only solved him a crisis, but also let him in samsara tower to deal with Yahua Yingtian and other people, let him rob immortal Tier's little pot,
Wei Suo in the heart also feel ancient emperor corpse is like a partner, now see has been 4 arms desolate race great treasure can kill, Wei Suo heart or some cannot accept, unconsciously depressed. Daoist Wei, do you recognize this? As soon as I felt the change of Wei Divine Lord, Huang Daojun looked at Wei Suo and asked this. Yes, you know that Yuhua aristocratic family controls the ancient emperor corpse that wants to deal with me. This is a medicine in the ancient emperor corpse naked body. The ancient emperor corpse can survive to this day, I am afraid it depends on this medicine. The potency Wei Suo nodded and explained. So, this field outer heavens demon wants to use this thing to cure these breathable fields outer heavens demon. The faces of Huang Daojun and Zhang Sunjing have become extremely ugly again. The next 4-armed desolate race great treasure can clearly confirm this. I saw the 4-armed desolate race great treasure. I don't know what method I used. The blue light shining on the face of the gods, a medicine chi floated out and drifted into the stone shovel in front. The desolate race great treasure in the sarcophagus is faintly only 4 arms, but it may be that the 4-armed desolate race great treasure can be good 6 or 70,000 years ago. The 4-armed desolate race great treasure lust is still very excited, first in the treatment of the deserty race. He is such a famous doctor, I am afraid there will be a great treasure problem. Wei Suo also thought of a possible problem at this time, and his face was suddenly white. True, when Huang Daojun and others heard the words of Wei Suo's, they couldn't help but stun the naked body. If the 4-armed desolate race great treasure can save 1 or 2 desolate race great treasure, then stay in it and continue to treat it, and the 4-armed desolate race great treasure can be searched, and their lust shape will be extremely not good. Wei Suo, I am afraid I can't enter the black light at all. I can only take a chance. Now I can see if I can lead this 4-armed desolate race great treasure and lead him away. You can see if you can take the opportunity to go in and destroy all the desolate race great treasure inside. Wei Suo bit his teeth and looked at Zhang Sunjing. How long will it take for your medicine pill and ancient talisman who can enter the inside, great treasure? There should be half stick of incense time, Zhang Sunjing said without blood. It's too late. At this time, Zhang Sunziru suddenly exclaimed a surging sound, and the teeth fought again. Average the old man of Huang Daojun and the 2 Zhang Sun aristocratic family had a surging sound at the same time. Scared me at a glance. Wei Suo is also a great treasure of the horse, and the feeling of ecstasy in his heart. Because at this time, the 4-armed desolate race great treasure can already put the drug into another. The previous deserty race great treasure, which he had been treated by, was already sitting down, and his body was flashing. The blue medicine, the potency is indeed extremely amazing, but these desolate race great treasure cannot seem to rely entirely on the power of this magical medicine. Everything in the body is almost exhausted, obviously it is also to keep quiet and adjust the breath, and looking at the lust shape time is certainly not short. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Ziyi. Chapter 1148. Chapter 1148 is not a person fighting. The ecstasy is ecstasy, but the lust shape at the moment is still extremely infiltrating. A desolate race great treasure with a height of 5 or 6 feet and a corpse can sit in front of the stone sarcophagus, and the blue skin is a little bit like a burning. After a while, the air in this copper-colored temple was slightly shocked, and a desolate race great treasure was able to get the technical support of the blue magical medicine. It came out from the giant great treasure and sat down on the ground. This desolate race great treasure is terrifying. It is a desolate race great treasure with 8 arms, and it should be another one in the desolate race that is different from the 4-armed desolate race great treasure. It's a short-horned cockroach. The 8-armed desolate race great treasure is also indigo, but the skin of the naked body has all dried up, and the deep enterprise bone, the middle of the head, has been hit by a great treasure. At the moment, sitting on the ground, there are countless divine marks in the cracks of the great treasure and the cracks in the body, as if they were inside a lightning storm. Boom! Wei Suo and other peoples around the body and seems to have a ring surging sound sounded general, see that the four arms desolate race great treasure can at this moment is like no special close to the people, also don't pick, and then save the past, the introduction of the drug into the eight-arm desolate race great treasure can be next to a sarcophagus, the sarcophagus is a step out of a body wearing iron clothes. There are still great treasures that mix with these domains, outer heaven's demon, Zhang Sun's Iru was afraid of anger and couldn't help but call it. This Taoist man can't see his face at this moment, wearing the shapeshift great art clothing made by divine iron, but it is obviously not the desolate race, but the cultivator great treasure, and the Taoist's momentum is very strong. The stone sarcophagus seems to have an invisible giant hammer hitting the void. This Taoist must have been in the spirit of the great treasure battle of 6 or 7,000 years ago, helping the great treasure of the desert race. This can't see the face, the Taoist who is like a cast iron is also sitting behind the ground, and a desolate race great treasure with a chest treasure being beaten, can be rescued, and walked out from a stone sarcophagus next to it. Then there was another desolate race great treasure with only 2 arms, but with a pair of great treasures behind it. This desolate race great treasure can't know what kind of variety in the desertate race. Anyway, Ling Longtian only told Wei Suo desolate race that there are several, but the mainstream is still 4-armed desolate race great treasure. Qi and blood and the extremely strong great treasure of the body can be advanced, giving birth to the arm and even the desolate race of the skull. But to be sure, the desolate race, who grew a giant great treasure meat wing, was certainly not a good deal, because desolate race great treasure after the head of the horse suspended around of black sun like dark disk, face horse scattered countless waterfall general divine mark, as if stretched into other void general, desperately draw origin chi, introduce the desolate race great treasure can of naked body within. They are here. An almost transparent brilliance was strung out of a mountain range and accurately flew toward the place where Wei Suo and others were. Upon seeing this escape light, Zhang Sunjing said this, and finally seemed to be relieved to get a sigh of relief. This is the people of Zhang Sun aristocratic family who finally brought the things that Wei Suo wanted. At this time, Zhang Sunjing and others also felt that they had arrived, otherwise they were about to be suffocated by invisible pressure and died. One followed by a terrifying deserty race great treasure. The sight that can be seen from the sarcophagus is really great treasure. Now the copper-colored great treasure hall has been squatted in a full 16 the creepy desolate race great treasure can. Each of these desolate race great treasures can be destroyed if 1 or 2 great treasure 6 cultivation worlds are destroyed, and there are more desolate race great treasures that can come out of the sarcophagus. So far so good at this time, Wei Suo wiped the cold sweat, but it was relieved. After watching this, he at least confirmed his 2 inferences. First, the blue magical medicine in the ancient emperor corpse naked body, although equivalent to save these desolate race great treasure, did not do shapeshift great art directly. These desolate race great treasures complement the already depleted origin chi and blood. The second is that these desolate race great treasures can be hid by the great treasure battle of 670,000 years. It was not sealed with the 4-armed desolate race great treasure on the same day as the great treasure, which was sealed in the secret place with the help of the rest of the desolate race great treasure. This secret place, on the equivalent to the desolate race, was the place where the wounded soldiers were seriously injured. And there are no other desolate race great treasures in the 6 or 77 years to come to treat these desolate race seriously injured. This only shows that the final desolate race won the great treasure battle with spirit race, but the victory is sure. Not easy, I am afraid that people are almost dead. Now these desolate race characters who can be rescued by the 4-armed desolate race great treasure have to set up shapeshift great art to add some of their own origin chi, and they have to repair their serious injuries. I am afraid that even if it is 10 days and a half, it may not be able to hands-on. This invisibly gave him the time of great treasure. Yellow Sect Master, which has all the shapeshift I've collected to withstand heavenly tribulation great art great treasure and shapeshift great art,
Ling Longtian and Senior Primordial Yin. They have already given me a detailed list, and there are all the records I know about heavenly tribulation in this note. The time is pressing. All the resistance heavenly tribulations shapeshift great art and shapeshift great art great treasure. I'd like to ask you to help me make a careful inventory of when and where to use the minutes. The person who saw the Zhangsun aristocratic family finally sent the things. Wei Suo took his ancient storage ring out and placed it in front of Huang Daijun and others, but he was the day of the Prim Sundial Spirit Dan and the record sent by the Zhangsun aristocratic family. Divine Mark's Jade Talisman got it? This time, Zhangsun aristocratic family is also dead, although the day of the primordial spirit Dan Wei Suo has not heard the record before, but listen to Zhangsun Jing and Zhangsun Zairu. This is the cultivator refining of divine mystic. First layer can go straight to divine mystic. Second rank's top rank medicine pill is the inheritance of the Zhangsun aristocratic family for thousands of years to great treasure. In addition, the Zhangsun aristocratic family has helped Wei Suo collect 6 great treasures, divine mark. So many against the shapeshift great art great treasure and shapeshift great art of heavenly tribulation. Upon receiving the ancient storage ring from Wei Suo, divine consciousness, Huang Daijun was taken aback by the great treasure. Among the Wei Suo's ancient storage rings, there are more than a dozen pieces of shapeshift great art great treasure and shapeshift great art that are resistant to heavenly tribulation. This is still a hasty robbery. I am afraid that a great treasure can be prepared for 2 or 3 years. It may not be able to collect Wipo's shapeshift great art great treasure and shapeshift great art that can withstand heavenly tribulation. The most important thing is that at least half of them do not look at the jade talisman in the records. Huang Daijun also do not know, also do not understand the function, that is, even if it is now a great treasure can have Wei Suo so great treasure's divine ability, there are so many sect to help collect. I am afraid can only collect half of these things. Half of the things will be because no one knows the function and dusty. Because this secret place has been laid out by the people of Zhangsun aristocratic family, and the singularity of the desolate race great treasure, Wei Suo and others are extremely clear, so Wei Suo has no hesitation. Directly a water spirit Yuan Qi rushed toward the Zhangsun aristocratic family's day primordial spirit Dan, trying to rush out a remedy. The Zhang primordial spirit of Zhangsun aristocratic family is also very strange. It is full of fist-like great treasure, and the naked body is orange, like a rounded great treasure stone, but the brilliance inside is natural in this medicine. Pills core condensed Tianyu and 2 faint light words. Wei Suo tried to take a shot at the moment and tried a refining. He suddenly felt that a piece of pure chi was like a long river and penetrated into his own true Yuan. Sure enough, spirit pellet of immortal level top grade. Wei Suo horse took a deep breath, knowing his success rate and great treasure. This sputum does not know how many ordinary 4 level 5 water attribute monster core, and with his current cultivation base and physical endurance, it is almost instantaneous refining. He can be sure that at most 2 hours by the time, relying on this spirit pellet, he can successfully hit the peak of the divine mystic 4th layer. And he has to be careful to control, because you don't need to refining this spirit pellet to hit the peak of divine mystic 4th layer. If there is more refining, it will directly lead heavenly tribulation, then he is really miserable. When I cried, I couldn't even cry. Yellow Sect Master, Wei Divine Lord. After more than half an hour, another escape light deliberately suppressed the air and flew down to the secret place of Huang Daijun and Wei Suo, but it was Jade Heaven Sect Master and Saint King Sect Master, Uniying Divine Lord and others all arrived. Seeing that Wei Suo is refining spirit pellet, these people don't say much, all are secret sound transmission intercourse streams, and seeing the scenes in the shapeshift great art mirror, they are all almost breathing. Stagnant. Hong. It was less than half an hour, and the void of the secret place was not so far behind the crowd. It was a slight shock, and a group of cyan brilliance passed through. Wei Suo and Huang Daijun and others were shocked, because the atmosphere of this group of cyan brilliance is very terrifying.
just like a giant treasure of Pang great treasure, which is revealed from the void, even far from Black Bodhi. The pressure of Tian Muo. Old ancestor. As soon as I saw the blue light, all the Zhangsun aristocratic family, such as Zhangsun Jing and Zhangsun Zairu, had a great treasure. This Wei Suo etal reacted, as Zhangsun Jing said earlier, the deepest foundation of the Zhangsun aristocratic family, which was called the elevated place shapeshift great art, and the old ancestor of the Zhangsun aristocratic family. Come here. In the middle of Xuanhuan, an old man came down. This old man is like a piece of crystal cyan jade, and there is a brilliance in the interior like a tide. This is not the human body, but the cohesion of the power of divine soul and the powerful energy of a strong great treasure. I have seen my predecessors seeing that the old man who had no blind blood chi came down. Wei Suo took the ceremony seriously. The old ancestor of the Zhangsun aristocratic family was born purely to deal with the domain outer heavens demon. It was much higher than him, and it was his battle, enough to be respected. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 1149. Chapter 1149 faces desolate race great treasure. The old saying goes, don't deceive me. It's really great treasure. There is a great treasure in the chaos. The hero is a teenager. As soon as I saw the scene in the shapeshift great art mirror by Wei Suo and Zhangsun aristocratic family, the old ancestor of the Zhangsun aristocratic family sighed a surging sound and made such a surging sound. Predecessors, your realm is much higher than me, I can't see it. Wei Suo took a slap in the first place and then asked very straight. Do you think you can deal with this four-armed field outer heavens demon? I only have the strength of the peak of divine mystic fifth layer. I shouldn't be the opponent of this domain outer heavens demon alone. I can only resist it for a while. Zhangsun aristocratic family. The old ancestor looked at Wei Suo and answered seriously. How long can you sustain this powerful energy? Wei Suo asked more straight, and his words were invisible to ask how long this old ancestor can live. It can only support up to 10 days. After 10 days, although it can still last for a few days, the powerful energy will slowly dissipate. I am afraid I will not help you anymore. The old ancestor of Zhangsun aristocratic family has left everything behind. Even if these desolate race great treasures are killed, there is no shapeshift great art, no shapeshift great art, and it is joined with Wei Suo, so there is no hidden concealment. Your work shapeshift great art is really heaven defying, and half an hour you should be able to reach the peak of divine mystic fourth layer. After the meal, the clan divine light, like a piece of jade, Zhangsun aristocratic family old ancestor looked at Wei Suo and said this. After half an hour, how did the seniors go to the black light to play a life with me? Wei Suo looked at Zhangsun aristocratic family old ancestor. Go in after half an hour? Big brother Wei, what do you want to do? As soon as Wei Suo was heard, Zhangsun Zairu was shocked. Zhangsun aristocratic family old ancestor's eyes suddenly shot the substantial divine light, and instantly understood the meaning of Wei Suo's. You want to enter and try if we can kill this field outer heavens demon, see if these are still restoring origin chi and setting the shapeshift great art healing field outer heavens demon. Is there a battle strength? Mother Hummer, it's too scary. Wei Suo looked at the statue of the terrifying desolate race great treasure in the picture. It was really a little empty, but he nodded. He must try this. If these desolate race great treasures can have strong great treasure battle strength now, then he is afraid to move into heavenly tribulation. The later he enters, the more likely he is to be spiked. Now there is such a good one. The old ancestor of the great treasure can help you block. If you can kill the four-armed desolate race great treasure and stand on its heels, you can even put a great treasure on it, and the success rate of heavenly tribulation is higher. Well, in this case, after half an hour, I will accompany you to play for a life. Zhang Sun aristocratic family. The older ancestor looks at Wei Suo, the more pleasing to the eye, the face even has a smile. When I am in full bloom, I may be able to help you block all of their divine consciousness and let them have no shapeshift. Great art connects you to heavenly tribulation and you don't think you are going to deal with them with heavenly tribulation. Zhang's aristocratic family's old ancestor is dead and unsuccessful. It doesn't know how many years of life. It's estimated that everything has been experienced and laughed, but Wei Suo can't laugh at all. He knows that although this is a temptation, but the success or failure is also in one fell swoop. If it is destroyed by the other party as soon as he enters, then it is really finished. No problem. Zhang Sun aristocratic family old ancestor observation is not wrong. Half an hour, Wei Suo stopped water emperor sun swallowing secrets. He has been real to the peak of the divine mystic fourth layer, the whole body scattered a kind of seemingly a horse to explode the momentum. There seems to be a pang great treasure things from his naked body, a strong great treasure breath, writhed and vibrated outside his body, even Wei Suo himself shapeshift great art, and Zhang Sun aristocratic family under secret place. At all, so that the top of the mist are constantly changing, this time the four-armed desolate race great treasure can be in the black light dome busy, otherwise, if it is in the black light dome outside, it will be now the secret place has G-Reet treasure can lurk. Zhang Sun aristocratic family's day primordial spirit Dan's potency is the same as Wei Suo's estimate, leaving half of the pigeon's great treasure, Wei Suo not folded, but directly in the palm of the hand. All shapeshift great art and shapeshift great art great treasure Wei Suo, which resists heavenly tribulation, also counted themselves. Finally, Zhang Sun aristocratic family added at a price of 167 pieces. According to different characteristics, it was divided into 6. The treasure receiving pocket is packed. All of these shapeshift great art and shapeshift great art great treasure, plus the last batch of water attribute monster core and spicy herb brought by Huang Daijun and others, and the water attribute monster core and spiritual herb brought by Zhang Sun aristocratic family. Things, Wei Suo are also brought in. If it is not good after entering, a face will be spiked, then he can only be desperately desperate. When he goes in, the remaining day of the palm of his hand, primordial spirit Dan, is suddenly changed, directly evoking heavenly tribulation. When the time comes to heavenly tribulation, his divine mystic breakthrough must also engulf the amazing origin chi supplement. Fight. Ready to do all this, Wei Suo another look at the shapeshift great art mirror scene, the results of the more look less courage, copper color great treasure temple, has been out of the huge great treasure the sarcophagus desolate RACE great treasure can have reached 30, a panzuo there, really straggly, look at all scary, in the heart of the treasure called a surging sound, Wei Suo bite teeth, to Zhang Sun aristocratic family old ancestor nodded, and took the direction of the black light dome. Wang Weihai and Sushengxiu and Tourmaline sect master are closely behind Wei Suo's. Huang Daijun and others Wei Suo did not let them enter. After all, for desolate race great treasure, one divine mystic great treasure can it's just like having a meat shield. There's nothing to use secret place. Don't let them go in and die. Big brother Wei, you must be alive to come back up. When Zhang Sun Ziru saw Wei Suo plucking out, his eyes were red, and he even called out surging sound. Wei Suo turned back and wanted to pull out the smile of a master. As a result, his face was stiff, and he felt that he was not smiling at all. He was more ugly than crying. Why, Wei Xiao, I am really afraid of seeing you. Old ancestor of Zhang Sun aristocratic family walked in front of Wei Suo and watched Wei Suo say this. I am really afraid of death. Wei Suo feels that even if his own acting skills are good, they can't be loaded at all, and they say bitterly. I am afraid to go this way, Wei Xiao, I really admire your courage. Your predecessors are so interesting. After a madness, Wei Suo took Wang Weihai and other 3 people and finally arrived at the black light with the Zhang Sun aristocratic family. At the moment, I finally saw it clearly. Below is a valley of giant great treasure. The black light of a giant great treasure is like an inverted golden treasure black bowl. According to the first message from Zhangsun aristocratic family, this black light seems to be hidden in the ground. After the four-armed desolate race great treasure arrived, I didn't know what it was used. This black light floated from the ground. Are you ready? After coming to the side of the black light, the old ancestor of the Zhangsun aristocratic family changed his former look and looked very solemn, looking at Wei Suo. After all, it's not just about him and Wei Suo's life and death. It's about not knowing how many cultivators are dead or alive. In fact, the old ancestor of Zhangsun aristocratic family is also the selfishness of great treasure. He can't control the life and death of many cultivators that have nothing to do with him. But when these fields outer heavens demon are born, the people of Zhangsun aristocratic family must die a lot. It is also possible that the Zhangsun aristocratic family will cease to exist. No problem. Wei Suo took a dozen breaths and then completely set his mind. He looked at Zhang, an aristocratic family's old ancestor, and nodded, and placed Wang Wei and Su Shengxiu and Tourmaline sect master in front of him. The black light in front of me looks like a smooth, thin look like porcelain, but since the Zhangsun aristocratic family has access to the ancient talisman, he naturally won't waste his effort to set the shapeshift great art to try this black light. Powerful energy. Seeing that Wei Suo nodded, the old ancestor of the Zhangsun aristocratic family stopped talking and reached out. A blue and green ancient talisman was instantly opened by him, turning into a black of a great treasure piece that hit the black in front of them. Light. KSHHH. The black light horse had a hot oil dripping sound like a red iron plate, and then a hole that only allowed 2 or 3 people to appear in the black light. Wei Suo no longer hesitated at the moment, gestured to Wang Wei and others, and swept in with Zhangsun aristocratic family old ancestor and Wang Wei. Hong, in an instant, Wei Suo had not had time to thoroughly see the sights in front of him. A wave of unusually violent origin chi rushed, and a savage magical sweep swept over. The entry of Wei Suo and others is inevitable by the desolate race great treasure inside. But at the same time, a cool, watery feeling instantly wrapped Wei Suo's body. This is the old place in the Zhang, an aristocratic family's old ancestor. The strange divine soul's power overshadows Wei Suo and himself, and isolates the incoming divine consciousness pressure. It's actually you. I don't think you actually sent the door. A surprise and the surging sound of pang great treasure, shocked from the distant secret place, and at this time, Wei Suo finally thoroughly saw the whole scene. This is even more horrible than the outside. The ancient bronze halls are all very large and great treasures. They cover a radius of 500 to 600 feet. They are like a small hill, dense and scattered. The terrifying momentum, which is different from the ordinary cultivator great treasure, is like a statue of a demon. And a group of indigo brilliance is coming out from the door of a copper ancient temple in the secret place. It is the four-armed desolate race great treasure. Beyond the black heavens dome, the secret place where Zhang Sunjing and others are located, everyone's breathing has completely stopped. They see very clearly. The four-armed desolate race great treasure can keep the medicine in the ancient temple and swept away. Come out and face Wei Suo and others. The time let you escape, this time you can't escape. Wei Suo was afraid of doing things before, but at the beginning, he was calmer than anyone else. It was obvious that he fled, but he was very shameless at the moment, but instead he could call this four-armed desolate race great treasure. Such a sentence. Haha, the little guy is Fangs, let me hold you first and see where your cultivation base comes from. The four-armed desolate race great treasure can also be stunned, and then out of the sky, the escape light flashes several times. Shua. If there is invisible cold electricity, kill directly from the Wei Suo Sea of Consciousness. Path to Heaven. Author, Wu Zy. Chapter 1150. Lord Snowhawk. Dragon Legend. Super Soldier. Cultivation of Rain and Clouds. Buddha Supreme. King Yanjai. My neighbor is a banshee. Xianmu legend. I was originally a disciple of the Liojia business firm in Xuanhuan City. It was just over 20,000 miles outside the Sky Dome to the north of Xuanhuan City that I saw this broken arm flying. The young man in Hui I looked, Wei Suo said. At that time I saw this broken arm flying in the air, and I was very surprised. I wanted to take a closer look, but the broken arm flew towards me and stopped in front of me. It is the inheritance from this broken arm. Both the Holy King, the Emperor, and the Goddess of Jade, including the Black Goddess of Heaven, heard a look of surprise in their eyes. This process of inheritance sounded too strange. But Wei Suo did not let these three listen more, reached out a little, and gave out the unbreakable bottle, offering him and this young man in Chinese clothes. Let's be more specific. Wei Suo's brows were still frowned. What the young Chinese man said was indeed completely beyond his expectations. At that time, all the broken arms were full of indigo brilliance, stayed in front of me, and then the brilliance flashed, the brilliance on the broken arm disappeared completely, but suddenly in my mind, there was more, a lot of things. The young people in Hui didn't want to hide, and even wanted to get a bit of the answer about the broken arm from Weizhuo, saying, it's like a means of initiation. These things include the exercises and techniques that I am practicing now, as well as my knowledge of old plants, and even some ancient ruins. Ancient ruins, Wei Suo's brow jumped again. Anything else besides these? Didn't even mention the origin of this broken arm. It's some ruins of ancient ancestors or monks' caves, but they are too old, some of them no longer exist, and some have been explored by monks. Anyway, I mentioned all the places mentioned. After that, in only one place, I got my vest and a few Dobeo ancient treasures. There is not much use. Apart from these, there is nothing, there is no mention of this break. The origin of the arm. You write down the exact location of the broken arm and what you got from the broken arm, except for how the two old plants are refined. Don't miss anything. Wei Suo pondered for a long time before watching the young man in Hui say this. At the moment, although he was still calm on the surface, his heart was full of waves. If this young man in Chinese clothes is also in a place like the battlefields of Beigong, he happened to get such a broken arm and some classics, or he just happened to find a cave mansion left by the power of a barbarian, there will be no shock, but it will be relieved in my heart. But this arm is flying directly in the air, but it is too bizarre. Moreover, Lin Fenghua won the inheritance of the three emperors, and he also had such a broken arm, which made him wonder whether Lin Fenghua also inherited from such a broken arm. Even, he couldn't help but start to doubt that Zantai Linglan was inherited by the Void Taoist, and whether he also received such a broken arm. Where did these broken arms come from? How could such a broken arm fly away? Are these broken arms obtained in that wilderness? Is there anything special in that wilderness? For a while, many questions appeared in his mind, but Lin Fenghua had been killed by him. To get more clues, at least he had to capture Zantai Linglan. Don't you say that there were two friends with you at that time? What were their identities? Didn't your two friends step forward to check with you at that time? Why did you get inherited? Wei Suo took a deep breath and asked again. Although he has never heard of the Liojia business firm, Xuanhuan City is a city on the southern edge of the silent continent. A business firm in a city, no matter how powerful it is, that is to say, this name before the young people in Hui were inherited by the aristocrats, they were only small characters. The two of them saw this broken arm, felt extraordinary, wanted to snatch, and was killed by me. Hui young man snorted coldly, they are my two brothers, and they had a good relationship with me. I also stepped forward to check with me, but this broken arm was still standing in front of me. The power in this broken arm is like initiation. I directly realized the technique, so the original, although their cultivation practices are higher than mine, they are not my opponents at all. Wei Suo's face suddenly changed slightly. Earlier, he felt that the princes of the Holy King and others may still have a life. After all, these princes have the limitation of lineage inheritance, and they can't run the monk and run the temple. If they don't dare to produce anything after the surrender, but this name the young people in Huai are also undergoing thorough self-repair now, and they have no worries at all. Moreover, this young man in Chinese clothes behaved very cruelly and decisively. He was a man of owl. Previously, he and Ling Longtian just wanted to inquire about things about the arm of the barbarian. As a result, this young man in Chinese clothes, the killer, is already in pain. At the moment, the young man in Chinese clothes talks about killing his two brothers. It is like killing two ants at all. There is no trace of refuge at all. Of course, this kind of cruel nature makes Wei Suo even more so. I feel that I can't keep this person at all. How do your two senior brothers' qualifications compare with you? Wei Suo's intentions rose, but his complexion was controlled. He still calmed down and asked the young man in Chinese clothes. The two of them were both Zhou Tian and Was Hong at that time. Although I was a 2-week Sunday, they started 10 years earlier than me, and practicing talent is very common, the young Chinese people said disdainfully. Wei Suo didn't speak for a long time, and his heart was full of waves. Now, there are 3 people he met who have inherited the Aborigines. One is Lin Fenghua, the other is Zantai Linglin, and the other is the young Chinese man named Zhou Qingning. These 3 people all have one thing in common. They seem to know nothing about the spirits and the Aborigines, and they don't even know what they inherited from the Aborigines. Another point is that these 3 people are young people who cultivate talents and even have extraordinary abilities. Zantai Linglin and Zhou Qingning have already broken through to Shenzhen, and if Lin Fenghua is not killed by Wei Suo, if he is on the contrary, if he got Tianlongzuo, I am afraid that his current supernatural powers might not be worse than Wei Suo. If Zantai Linglin also had such a broken arm of the barbarian, and this barbarian's broken arm was picking up the inheritors himself, then this matter would seem a little scary. If the almighty aristocrat is alive, it is naturally impossible for him not to come out himself, but he uses the means of self-mutilating the body to find the inheritor. But it's already terrifying to have a paragraph of God's thought like the ancestor of the Sword King. But where did these broken arms come from? And since the inheritance of the Huang people is left, but it does not mention the relevant matters of the Huang people, what is the reason? This was Wei Suo's moment, and he couldn't understand it at all. Between Wei Suo's contemplation, the young man in Chinese clothes showed a cold light like a poisonous snake, and he didn't know what to do. He just recorded things, but he didn't stop. Just a moment, he broke his arm from the baron. The inheritance obtained in it, except for the 2 old plants, is fully recorded. Although this matter concerning the inheritance of the Huang clan became more important because of the birth of the 4-armed Huang clan, it is not the most important issue for the current Weizhuo. So this young man in Chinese clothes recorded what he knew, and he didn't think much about these unthinkable questions. He directly took a few pieces of memoirs in his hands and quickly looked at the things in it. Ci Hang Fang Huajing, Silent Mind Sword, Huanggu Materia Medica, Luoju Wasteland. It was just a scan of the consciousness, and Wei Suo found what he wanted. The exercise practiced by this young Chinese man named Ci Hang Fang Huajing, this exercise is very amazing for Wei Suo now. It is actually even a lot of spirits with great poison and many unfavorable qualities. Medicines can be directly refined. Speaking of this practice is even similar to Wei Suo's Water Emperor's Sun draining trick, but the highly poisonous elixir containing a large amount of aura is not as much as the Water Demon pill. Quite a few. But there is also a special feature of the Sahang Fang Huajing, that is, the unfavorable energy and toxins in those elixirs can be accumulated in a trick when practicing. To the time of the enemy it can also cause great damage to opponents. This is equivalent to those good and bad places of highly poisonous elixir, all used. It's just that this accumulation of bad energy and toxins can only be saved according to the practice method after breaking through to Shenzhen.
This young man in Chinese clothes obviously has just broken through Shenzhen, and has no savings, otherwise Wei Suo will have to deal with it, which is more difficult. No wonder when Wei Zhuo talked with Ling Longtian before Ling Longtian said to Wei Zhuo, at that time, the power of the nomadic people who practiced this skill was also the main force of the side of the nomadic people in the Battle of Bilong Army, and its body has a unique fat powder, and later Ling Longtian recalled that it seemed that there was a very strong peach-colored poisonous malaria in the battle group, and many of them were cultivated as weaker powers and could not join the battle at all. Group. What's more, there are also ancient books on ancient herbs. This scripture is all a description of the function and application of many old plants, and even a recipe. I am afraid that the ancient plants recorded in them are only understood by the Huang people, and there is no inheritance at all from the outside world. At least Wei Suo has contacted so many classics, and there is no record of the ancient plants at all. A separate Ci Hang Fang Huajing is not a big deal, but with this desolate ancient herbal scripture, it is really a real booster. It can be said that if those who have these two scriptures can't cultivate above Shenzhen, it's just no reason. What makes Wei Suo's heart beat violently again is the consciousness of the young man in Chinese clothes, and the mind sword. This technique is not as good as the magical power of the consciousness, but in this method of killing the consciousness, there is indeed a method that can strengthen the consciousness. If any chapter content is not displayed, please visit to read. Tip: you can search for 0.academy00sy or 00sy in Baidu to visit this site. The site address is. To facilitate reading this book next time, you can click Add Bookmark below to record this reading record, and you can directly read this chapter next time you open the bookshelf. Please recommend this book to your friends, QQ, blog, WeChat, etc. Remember that the more updates you share, the faster. Mobile phone users please visit